Hey, good
Good
morning.
morning.
How are you?
All right, and yourself?
I am well. I feel like it's been a month of Saturdays.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. How's everything going?
So far, so good.
Okay. And I was
How
like,
about
oh,
you?
I need to check up on my friend. I need to check up on my friend. Okay. Everything's going. It's going well. We still here.
All right.
Can't complain. Oh, goodness. Good morning. Good morning. All right. Oh, so how was your week then?
It was a week. I'm glad it's over.
It's always a
How
week.
was yours?
It was busy. Learned a lot this week actually. Just information overload. And side eyeing a lot of folks and a lot of stuff. But it was an election week here, so
Yeah,
yeah.
here too.
I work the every time I say that, everybody be like, the polls. I'll be like, I work the election polls. Like I'm not swinging from a pole, even though I have learned how to do it a little bit. That's a whole other conversation. Anyway, um, yeah. So it was busy in that regard. A lot of things happening, and the more things change, the more they stay the same. I guess that's pretty much the current common theme that seems to be happening
Absolutely.
in the world. Yeah. All right. Well, let's get this party started. Welcome everybody to our Saturday morning tea. And here we brew up the hottest topics in healthcare. We discuss health information news, education, how things stay the same, even if they're changing, certification tips, and entrepreneurship, the revenue cycle at large. Oh, also swinging from poles. We do that was a bit of the conversation. And as you come in, don't forget to hit the thumbs up or like button. I'm Clarice Warner. I'm the Girl with the Pearls, the founder and senior education director of the Professional Reimbursement Network, LLC, where coding education is key. And PRN is a healthcare compliance consultancy located in Cincinnati, Ohio, that specializes in revenue cycle and regulatory compliance and education. Now, let me ask you, do you know what it takes to be a certified marketable medical coder? Well, before I introduce my co host, let me share with you information on a free email course on the 5 steps to become a certified marketable medical coder. Are you interested in medical coding, but not sure where to start and scared of wasting time and resources? Let me help you with the right steps to become a certified marketable medical coder. Learn more at bit.ly/5stepscoder. Hey, all right. If you are interested in getting more information about the 5 steps to become a certified marketable medical coder, well, check the video description for the link. All right. You ready, sir?
I'm ready.
You got a lot of stuff going on over
Yes.
Joining me today is my partner in success, my co-host, Mr. Jesse, who is getting it all together, the registered trademark. Put some respect on his name, the coding nurse. Sir, introduce yourself and tell the folks all about you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jesse. I live in Philadelphia. I've been in healthcare for a very, very long time. I left the bedside in 2014, transitioned into risk adjustment. During the pandemic in 2020, I created a company, the Coding Nurse LLC, where I help nurses and other people in healthcare with a clinical background transition into the wonderful world of HIM.
Oh, and what a wonderful world it is. And how is it going? How's everything going?
It's going. Uh, I have a student now, like we're halfway done, and we always get to the point where like, this is harder than what I thought it was going to be.
Well, it never ceases to amaze me. My students the same way. Like thought this was going to be easy. Who told you that? No one
Exactly.
never told you that. You all assume because, it's a little different in healthcare, that those other healthcare professions aren't easy. Why would you think this one was? No, no, no. But it's so worth it. So
It
worth it.
is.
So worth it. All right, all right. Well, before we jump in, let me remind you that you can join in and add to the conversation. So don't be shy. Your opinion matters and is always welcomed here. So, friends, please use the chat. That's how we have this back and forth dialogue is through the chat. So if you have a question, please type Q first so we know that it is a question for us and we don't miss it. But if you're talking amongst yourselves and you're questioning each other, then that's one thing. But we want to try to make sure that we're answering the questions that come in for us. So for those who are just joining us or watching the replay, today we're talking MA or Medicare Advantage coding alert. $84 billion crisis. Every coder must know. But first, we're going to get into our church announcements. Look at you, Johnny, on the spot. I love it. Hey. Hey. All right. All right. Get it. See? That's why I be getting the side eyes when I be in church, because I be doing like, man, what are you doing? All right. Okay. Hey, I got the right slider this time. All right. Well, I don't actually have any specific health information church announcements. I'm racking my brain trying to think really quick. If you the RBRVS and CPT symposium that is put on by the AMA is this week or next week. I know I got my book, so my books have already arrived and I'm gearing up and ready. So if it's something that you may be interested in and have the time and the coins, it's a good time. So check that out. Let's see. What else is going on? From us, have we talked? We've talked since I came back from the conference. Nothing else is going on. Stay tuned for some announcements from one or two of our coding associations in the next week or so. Don't look like that. Stay tuned. But the one thing that is really been on my heart for the last 30 some odd days here, particularly since we got the information about the cuts that are happening with folks with the SNAP benefits, and y'all know I love me some seniors and I love me some little people. So just my heart is aching and breaking. And I know we here locally have a lot of things happening. I'm sure you do too. But if you or someone you know is in need of food, and we need food, we can survive a day or so, but we need food to sustain us and provide us with the energy and sustenance we need to just conquer every single day. You can find a local food pantry by calling 211, or you can also visit the Feed America website, which both of them will provide you with local resources for food and other needs in your area. And then Feeding America Also allows you to put in your zip code, and then you can find some local places which will direct you to like pantries, soup kitchens, meal programs, etc. I know here locally as well, our school district has even jumped in, because unfortunately there are a lot of children that go hungry, SNAP benefits or not, and government shutdown or not, and the only meals that they get are really in school. They'll get their breakfast and they'll get their lunch, and then it sometimes may be a struggle for an evening meal. So I know here again locally, our school district has various locations where students can come and get a evening meal. I think it's most of them around 4:30, maybe even 5, where they just can go to the school and get that. So please just take a look and see what may be available. And if you have excess, if you have an extra something that you can provide, please support your local pantries, because the numbers and the need is greater. It's always great this time of the year, but because of everything that is happening here in the country, it is greater. And so if you have a little extra to share, please share with your neighbors and folks that are in need. Mr. Jesse.
I was going to say something similar, because I mean it's a really rough time. But what I'll just stick to what I want, because I'm not going to go off to the left. But I
go
just
to the
think
left.
that
Go be you.
I just think that everybody who prays and believe in a higher power, like, we just need to pray that some hearts and minds change sooner rather than later.
Amen. Amen. All right. So when you are in your prayer time, add that to the prayer. All right. Let me get rid of the banner. Let me get rid of my music. Okay. So that was our church announcements. All right. So let the tea spilling begin, shall we? Well, welcome back to the Saturday Morning Tea, where we serve up the real talk our profession needs. I'm Clarice Warner, the girl with the pearls, with my partner in success, the coding nurse. And hopefully you have your hot brew today because you are in for quite the conversation. Today's topic, MA coding alert, the $84 billion crisis every coder must know. All right. So again, pour yourself that morning cup of tea or whatever it is you see. What you eat? You eating?
No, drinking.
Okay. I just saw spoons.
Yeah.
I'm like, maybe he got soup. Hey, it works too. So we're talking about something that's keeping compliance officers awake at night. And honestly, it should be keeping all of us awake. We've talked a little bit about this before. It never ceases to amaze me, all of the different things all the different vantage points, all the different communications and content that can come from one thing, but Medicare Advantage diagnosis coding. A whole lot. Now, before you think, oh, this doesn't affect me, let me hit you again with this number. Medicare is spending $84 billion, and that's billion with a B, more on Medicare Advantage plans than traditional Medicare. That's not a typo, and it's not going away. So let's unpack why this matters to every single one of us in the coding and CDI world, because you know what? Understanding this challenge it really could be so simple if we just get back to the fundamentals. Mr. Jesse, I know I'm preaching to the choir because it's always about those fundamentals. But somewhere, somehow, some way, they've gotten away from us. So let's start with the basics, because I believe in building from a strong foundation. Medicare Advantage has officially overtaken traditional Medicare as the dominant healthcare delivery model. I personally think it's because of a lot of the trinkets and carrots and stuff that they dangle in front of our senior folks, and they think, oh, this is great, da 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 da, until it's not when they need that coverage and it's not. Or it's denied, or it's not covered, or so on and so forth. They don't talk about that part. They talk about, oh, we can get you X amount of dollars on your premium, or oh, we can get you X amount of gift cards or food cards, or all of the different things that they can. Somebody got shoes one year. They was giving away pairs of shoes. I said, well, look at here. But anyway, so we're talking about a complete shift in how Medicare beneficiaries receive their care. Now, here's what's fascinating. And this is where it gets interesting for us as coding professionals. Traditional Medicare, what we call Medicare Part A and Part B, pays healthcare providers directly using the inpatient prospective payment system, or the IPPS, that we all know and love, right? But Medicare Advantage, well, that's a completely different animal. Medicare Part C operates on an entirely different payment methodology. So instead of paying us providers directly, Medicare makes monthly payments to private insurance companies, who then provide coverage for Medicare beneficiaries enrolled in their plans. Now think about that for a minute. These Medicare Advantage plans, they submit bids to Medicare. These bids represent the expected average cost per standard beneficiary, plus administrative costs, plus a profit margin. It's like they're saying, Medicare, we think we can take care of your people for this amount of money. It's like, let's make a deal. But here's where it gets really interesting for us coding professionals. And this is where our expertise becomes absolutely critical. These payments aren't just flat rates. They're adjusted based on each enrolled beneficiary's demographic and health risk characteristics. We're talking about age, disability status, dual eligibility, institutional status, prior health conditions, and here's the big one. And I know, Mr. Jesse, this is true and dear to your heart. Risk adjustments using the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services hierarchical condition categories, the CMS HCCs. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, well, Clarice, I work at inpatient. Why should I care about this? Well, let me tell you something. This affects all of us, because most of the diagnoses used in these risk adjustment calculations, well, they're reported on physician and outpatient claims as well. And that has led to the development of an entire subspecialty we all know and love, risk adjustment coding. But prior to this emphasis on risk adjustment coding, there was minimal scrutiny regarding the diagnoses included on a professional or hospital outpatient claim. Why? Because reimbursement was based on the assignment of the current procedural terminology codes, or CPT codes. Diagnoses were used to demonstrate covered benefits, medical necessity, and elements required for proper assignment and evaluation and management codes. So if you remember back in the day, especially those who are CPC certified, there was never an emphasis on diagnosis codes. That came later. Everything was all about CPT, learning CPT, the rules, the regs, all of the things around CPT and Medicare and some compliance things, but just a trickle of info, and HCPCS. Sorry, I'm not going to leave our little cousin out, and HCPCS as well. Just a trickle about diagnosis. So no one was really providing you, back in the day, information about diagnosis codes, about those guidelines, about all those things, because it was an afterthought. And then all of a sudden, somebody suggested, well, why wouldn't you teach people diagnosis? I know I've been teaching diagnosis forever. I'm sure, Mr. Jesse, you have been teaching diagnosis forever. It's very, very important, period. But at some point, someone said, well, maybe we need to add some focus. And then when the risk adjustment stuff popped up and it was all about diagnosis, everything's turned on its head. So every diagnosis matters. Every single code has the potential to impact payment. And that, my friends, is why we need to be at the top of our game. Mr. Jesse, you know you can jump in at any time. So let's talk about our bread and butter, the ICD-10-CM official guidelines for coding and reporting, specifically Section 4. This section governs diagnostic coding and reporting for outpatient services, and it has become the cornerstone of Medicare Advantage compliance. Now, you might be saying again, Clarice, I know the guidelines, but do you really? Because Section 4 reminds us that guidelines in Section 1, which includes your conventions, general coding guidelines, and chapter specific guidelines, must also be applied for outpatient services and office visits. But here's what's critical for Medicare Advantage plans. And this is where it could all be so simple if we just follow the rules. We're instructed to, quote, list additional codes that describe any coexisting conditions, end quote. Now, let me break this down for you because the guidelines are crystal clear about chronic disease coding. First, chronic diseases treated on an ongoing basis may be coded and reported as many times as the patient receives treatment and care for the conditions. That's straightforward, right? To the T. Second, code all documented conditions that coexist at the time of the encounter and that require or affect patient care, treatment, or management. This is where we demonstrate our expertise. Third, and this is important, and do not code conditions that were previously treated and no longer exist. This is where we see a lot of problems in Medicare Advantage coding. And fourth, history codes may be used as secondary codes if the historical condition or family history has an impact on current care or influences treatment. Now, these guidelines they're not just suggestions. They're actually the guidelines that we must follow. They're the rules of the road, period. And when we follow them correctly, we can code with integrity and precision. And really, at that point, it could all be so simple. But here's what's happening in the Medicare Advantage world that has me concerned. Some organizations are implementing what I call questionable collection mechanisms that deviate from these official guidelines. We're seeing chart reviews that document diagnoses not captured through the usual means of reporting, health risk assessments that sometimes rely on unverified enrollee reported data, and in some cases, potentially fraudulent diagnosis data. Family, this is not the way. Our job as coding professionals is to ensure our practices align with official guidelines and maintain the integrity of the coding process. When we do that, we stick to the fundamentals, period. Let me give you an example of what proper Section 4 compliance looks like. A patient comes in for a routine follow-up for their diabetes. During the visit, the physician also addresses their hypertension and documents that the patient is experiencing some mild depression that's affecting their diabetes management. Under Section 4 guidelines, we would code the diabetes as the primary reason for the encounter, the hypertension as a coexisting condition being managed, the depression as it's affecting the patient's overall care. We wouldn't code a history of stroke from 5 years ago unless it's specifically impacting current care. We wouldn't code conditions that are resolved. We code what's current, what's being addressed, and what's affecting the patient today at that encounter. Period. That's the foundation. That's our North Star. And when we get back to these fundamentals, everything else falls into place. Mr. Jesse, I see you.
I don't know what the answer is. In 2025, I really don't know because because as you were talking, like, I mean, like I've reviewed claims where ruled out conditions have been PDX, where conditions that weren't documented by any provider were PDX. Like, How? Like this is just basic stuff. If you cannot get the basics, what are you doing?
What are you doing over here?
The
Go.
basics. And how did it get through? How did it even leave your facility like that? Like how? And it's not, I mean, it's not getting any better. It's not.
Mm-mm.
And a lot of it has to do absolutely, it has nothing to do with the coding guidelines because God knows. I mean, CMS could not make it any clearer than if they came and did the work for you. That's the only thing left.
Absolutely.
I mean, they
Absolutely.
have given you every bit of information you need to do this the right way. They've even told you what are the worst conditions they see, so you can at least address those. Start there. They don't even do that.
Right. Like clean
And
up the mess. Even you know you got a mess. They're telling you they're seeing messes all over the place. Double check and make sure to see whether or not you have that mess and then clean it up.
you have people, there are too many people in the kitchen who don't know how to cook.
Mm,
And that's really, really, really the problem.
mm. Now here's where our story takes a concerning turn. And this is why we're all here talking about this today. The Medicare Payment Advisory Commission, or MedPAC, found that Medicare Advantage beneficiaries have higher risk scores on average compared to similar traditional Medicare beneficiaries. And this is due to more exhaustive reporting of diagnosis codes. I didn't want to get it out. I didn't want to come out. Okay. This phenomenon is called coding intensity, and it's driving Medicare to spend 20% more. That's our $84 billion figure for Medicare Advantage plan beneficiaries than traditional Medicare. The MedPAC 2025 report identifies two primary issues, and I want you to understand both of these because they're going to shape our industry moving forward. First is favorable selection. This occurs when beneficiaries with lower actual spending relative to their risk score enroll in Medicare Advantage, which results in spending lower than the traditional Medicare coverage. Think about it, healthier people choosing Medicare Advantage plans. Second is coding intensity. This refers to the tendency for more diagnosis codes to be recorded for Medicare Advantage enrollees, which causes risk scores and payments for the same beneficiaries to be higher when they're enrolled in Medicare Advantage than they would be in traditional Medicare. Now, MedPAC concluded that this is a direct quote, that Medicare Advantage plans have a financial incentive to ensure that their providers record all possible diagnoses because adding new risk adjustment eligible diagnoses raises an enrollee's risk score and results in higher payments to the plan. End quote. Let me pause right here because I want you to really think about this. The conclusion is based on estimates where Medicare Advantage risk scores were about 17% higher than similar traditional Medicare beneficiaries due to higher coding intensity. And this was recorded back in the latest data in 2023. 17% higher. That's not a small difference. That's a significant variance that caught the attention of federal oversight agencies. Now, I want to be clear about something. Coding all documented conditions that affect patient care, that's exactly what we should be doing. That's what Section 4 tells us to do. The problem isn't comprehensive coding. The problem is when coding becomes disconnected from clinical reality. And this is where it could all be so simple if we just remember our core purpose. We code what the physician documents based on clinical evidence following official guidelines. When we do that, we're doing our job correctly, regardless of the patient or payment methodology. But when coding becomes about maximizing risk scores rather than accurately reflecting the patient's clinical condition and care needs, that's when we get into trouble. That's when we start seeing the kinds of problems that have attracted federal attention. The key is maintaining that balance, comprehensive, accurate coding that serves both clinical documentation needs and appropriate reimbursement. It's not about coding less, it's about coding right. Period. From the gate. Go. Mr. Jesse.
Once again, I don't know how you fix it.
All right. So I need to share some statistics with you that honestly, they should make every coder and CDI professional pause and really think about where we are as an industry. So the Office of Inspector General Investigations revealed some shocking findings, as they usually do. Through 2023, approximately 70% of diagnosis codes reported by Medicare Advantage plans were not supported by the associated medical records. Let me say that again, 70%. 7 out of every 10 diagnosis codes couldn't be supported by the medical records. But it gets worse. Some diagnosis codes were unsupported over 90% of the time. Listen to these error rates, and we've all heard them before. Acute stroke, 96% error rate. Acute heart attack, 95% error rate. Breast cancer, 96% error rate. Colon cancer, 94% error rate. Now, as a seasoned professional who's been in this field for years, I'm not surprised by these codes having such error rates. Why? Because they're diagnoses where documentation must clearly differentiate between a current acute condition and a historic condition. This is exactly the kind of nuanced coding that requires professional expertise. It's the difference between coding history of myocardial infarction and acute myocardial infarction. One reflects a past medical event that may influence current care. The other reflects an active, life-threatening condition requiring immediate intervention, something that really does not ever happen in a doctor's office. And here's what I suspect is happening in many of these cases. And this is just my personal professional opinion based on what I've seen in the field. Many of these coding errors can be attributed to data collected from claims where providers code their own records rather than relying on a professional coder who understands the nuances associated with proper code assignment. And yes, there are plenty of organizations that want their providers to code their records. Period. It was a new trend. Think about that. A physician is focused on patient care. They're thinking about treatment plans, follow-up care, medication adjustments. They're not necessarily thinking about the coding implications of whether they document history of stroke versus stroke with residual effects versus acute stroke. But that's what we do. That's our expertise. That's why we exist as coding professionals. We understand these nuances. We know how to read between the lines of clinical documentations and apply the appropriate codes based on official guidelines. This is where it really could all be so simple if we just get back to fundamentals, proper training, professional coding expertise, and adherence to guidelines. The OAG has developed a toolkit to help decrease improper payments to Medicare Advantage plans. But toolkits only work if people use them correctly. Education only works if people apply what they learn. Guidelines only work if people follow them. And that's where we come in. That's our opportunity and our responsibility. So everyone, what do we do with all of this information? How do we respond to this particular challenge? Well, first, we remember our value. These findings highlight exactly why professional coders are more critical than ever. Again, we bring expertise, we bring accuracy and integrity to the coding process, or at least we should. Second, we focus on education. We need to be the experts who help physicians understand the documentation requirements for accurate coding. We need to be the professionals who can clearly differentiate between current and historical conditions, or at least we should be. Third, we maintain our integrity. When we code with accuracy and follow guidelines, we're part of the solution. When we cut corners or inflate codes, we're part of the problem. And finally, we stay informed. The landscape is changing rapidly. The RADV audits, oh, they're coming, and oversight is increasing. But when we're prepared, when we're knowledgeable, when we're following best practices, it can all be so simple. Mr. Jesse?
It's supposed to be. And it can be. Like, it doesn't, like, I've been saying it for years. I mean, risk adjustment is some of the easiest coding you could ever do. It really, really is. I mean, and either the support is there or it's not. I mean, and like, how can you, like, how is it possible for you to diagnose an acute stroke in a doctor's office? Like, you have no imaging. You're not a neurologist. Like, the level of
And a PCP, no doubt.
right. I mean, but the level of documentation and support that is required to support a stroke, even inpatient, is not it's not no walk in the park. Like, you have to have some sure enough treatment and diagnostics. Like, you can't do that at an urgent care center. They just don't have it.
They
And
don't. They don't. And I know a lot of healthcare organizations are struggling financially. I know a lot of practices are struggling financially. But this is not the way to get your coins. This is not the way to get it. This is not the way to try to, quote unquote, game the system.
But the thing is, people in America are the sickest that they've ever been. It's you don't even have to fluff it.
You
The money
don't.
is there.
The money is there. It's there. But make sure the documentation of these diagnoses are there. And that's the key. For the life of me, I cannot understand why some of we talk documentation, we talk about the importance of documentation. Go ahead.
That I know.
Go ahead.
I know that one. The problem is outpatient and inpatient. The problem is organizations like Actus. Because you cannot do CDI, I don't care where it is, inpatient or outpatient, without knowing coding and coding guidelines. You just cannot. And you have these organizations where they bring people in, they give them their little, boot camp, and they think that they're off to the races. No, ma'am, no, sir. It doesn't work like that. You need somebody to teach you. And you don't learn it in 6 weeks. You don't learn to properly learn CDI. It takes you 6 months to a year at least. And you need somebody to hold your hand at least for 9 months until you can. But and that's with some kind of knowledge. But
Right.
the problem is, and I've said this before, the problem is, see, before that Actus model could work because you had the coding department to save the CDI who would miss everything. But now coders don't know what they're supposed to know. So who is there to fix it? Nobody. This is why it's so much easier for OIG to have to produce these reports that show how out of line everything is. And it all comes down to documentation, because there are literally people there who don't know. That's it.
Yeah. And I think there's another burden of accountability that is often not said. And again, all of this work is based on the provider documentation. Oftentimes, the provider is educated with information based on reviews, audits, just everyday work cues where folks are going into the documentation and seeing, okay, I see this doctor is doing XYZ all the time. Let's have a conversation. Let somebody tell them, let somebody, help them understand the importance of their documentation. I know that conversations like these have existed for decades, for years. There's no accountability for those doctors to get it right. They're going to do what they do. Oh, I put what I put. Deal with it. Now, these organizations, because it doesn't necessarily impact them directly, because these organizations have hired the providers, the organization is the oversight. So the organization gets the direct hit, but nothing ever happens to the one whose documentation they're using in order to submit the claims. That's a problem. So somebody needs to have the come to Jesus meeting with the providers to say, look, we done told, and have it documented. You're an employee of these organizations, and you should be treated as such. All other employees have those evaluations, and let's discuss what we've seen and what we haven't seen and what you've improved in and where you need improvement and all of the things. We need to have these same conversations, because if it's documented and shown that you've received this information and you didn't act on it and you didn't change and you didn't modify and shift and pivot and do anything, then maybe we may not be the organization for you. But nobody's gonna have that conversation.
But in an effective CDI program, that happens. In an effective one, because there's no way in the world
it has some additional backing and backbone of the C-suite and those empowered to do that. Oftentimes, they put the physician on or provider on such a pedestal that nobody is afraid to say, "Sir and ma'am, you got to tighten this up." They'll tell you what it is, but then there's nothing happens as a result of them not changing, and they continue to do it on and on and on. And then it's like, okay, well, somewhere down the line, somebody is trying to clean it up. But at the end of the day, the organization could be losing millions of dollars because, one, they're not documenting appropriately, or on the back end, they're getting denials because of them not documenting appropriately. So either the claims are not happening, they're getting denials, and they're not fixing it. But everybody turned a blind eye to the one who's doing the documentation. Why? But to your point, an effective CDI program with the backing of the people who's going to do something, when the other folks who's supposed to be changing the things in the documentation don't, that's all good. But how many of those really do exist?
Well, the problem and the reason why not many of them exist is because, like I said before, there's too many people in the kitchen who can't cook. You have people in these positions, even in HIM management, who have never coded. So you don't know what you should be looking for. You don't even know how to advocate. You don't.
Well, if you pay attention, a good manager pays attention to their frontline people and their staff, and knows from the conversations that she or he is having with them on where to advocate, because they're getting that data from them. So they may not have even gone into that record to code it, look at it, any of those things. But if you got the team who has the expertise and knowledge, and you're having the conversation with them and getting an appreciation of what it is that they're seeing and the problems that they're seeing, you can advocate.
Well, they don't, because this is just like I've been saying this for years too. HIM is going down the same road as that nursing went down, and this is why HIM is the mess it is, because this was nursing 20 years ago. There was a time when you had to work your way up to get to a position. So when you work your way up, you know all the nuances, you know what needs to be done. What happens is you have people now, they're concerned about keeping their job rather than doing their job. And they need to, like, has been this big push to change it from clinical documentation improvement. And the reason why they changed it from improvement is because there's no improvement being made. So they changed it to integrity, but they need to find another I word, because most people in there don't have no freaking integrity either. So you back to where you started.
Let's go down to the dictionary and find us
For
our.
real. They need another eye because this one ain't working either. And you don't have people who are willing to have real frank conversations. I'm telling you, I've been in CDI meetings, and once I done started talking, I don't get invited back. But the facts are the facts, because the bottom line is, listen, I don't. One thing I thank God for is the spirit of discernment. Because when I tell you I can see some stuff before it happens, thank and praise the Almighty. And I know how to pivot, move around, and get me up out of it. So I've had calls where where my former job's legal department have called and said, well, we are involved in this. Baby,
That's y'all.
it ain't got nothing to do with me, because
Ain't got nothing to do with me.
I know what I documented.
Absolutely.
I
And if
know
you
what I
follow the
did.
trail or you follow the documentation that I left you, you should be fine. But if you got the people who are arguing against the documentation that I left you, them your people. Deal
That's
with them.
right.
Deal with them.
That's not my problem, and I might pray for you.
Good luck.
There you go. Peace and blessings.
So yeah, I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot. And until people really take a hard look at what is happening, this foolishness is going to continue. And it could all be so simple.
Well, I don't know if, well, I would like to know what the powers that be at CMS really think. Because to me, like, honestly, I think that they're fine with the way things are, because they recoup billions of dollars.
Absolutely. They're
And
keeping themselves employed.
right.
And in business.
Because by now, like, that's who I wish I could work for. Because when I tell you, like, their system is on rinse and repeat. Because this
Rinse
probably
and repeat. Because
it's so obvious.
we done told you this over and over and over again, and we still seeing it. And then the numbers just are increasing. So I don't know if it's like new people getting into this space and not understanding, or is it the old people that are continuing, or the ones that have been there before, or who are continuing the same mistakes of yesteryear? It is mind-boggling to me. But maybe you got a lot of money to give back. I don't know. Y'all crying about y'all financials, but clearly maybe y'all got a stash. We know we're gonna have to start giving money back. So let's put the money over here. But that wouldn't be necessary if you put things out accurately, completely from the get-go.
And most people have no idea. I mean, I didn't have any idea. I mean, because I was frontline in healthcare for years. And it wasn't until I got into, coding and risk adjustment and CDI that I really saw how much money is circulated around in healthcare and how much of it is wrong. It's not appropriate. Like, you just there I've worked places where people are scared to send a query because they don't want because the providers like get snappy. Oh, well, get snappy back.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to talk to me like that.
Absolutely.
Especially when I'm doing my job. It's not my fault you don't know how to do yours.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And they will. That's a you have providers that, again, because they have been placed on this pedestal, think you are way beneath them, and there's nothing that you can do or say that can help them. And you are really in the position to make or break their practice, because if you don't change, you won't be here forever, sir, ma'am. And you put these people in place, you hire these people in your organizations to do just that, to help the organization get what it is entitled to based on the services that they provide, period. But you cannot do that without the proper documentation. The providers lead this chain. I mean, of course, the patient leads it coming in with the conditions, but second in command is the provider and the documentation. Nothing moves without that. And you can't even blame it like, oh, well, it might be some new providers and they don't know. By now, somebody should know. There should be some conversations, even amongst the providers. I know the AMA is over there talking. Y'all talking all the daggone time. But are y'all taking heed to whatever it is that they talking about? Because they do mention and talk about the importance of documentation.
Well, you know what I need the AMA to talk about, honestly, they need to talk about sepsis and acute respiratory failure, please and thank you.
On a regular.
Because
and understanding the difference between acute and historic conditions. Come on now.
I mean, how are you diagnosing somebody with acute respiratory failure and they're on 1 liter of oxygen? Will you stop it? And their pulse ox ain't even nowhere near 80 nothing. What? Okay.
And I don't want to believe that, y'all really trying to game it through the documentation. Don't do that. Don't do that. Providers, this is to you. Come close. Come close. There are people in jail, right? There are providers that are actually locked up in jail and paying all kinds of restitution personally, right? Okay, you can back up now. At the end of the day, provider, ma'am and sir, when that claim goes out the door, regardless who submits it, even if it's under that organization's name, you are responsible for the documentation that supports that claim. You may not see, back in the day, you used to actually see that printed 1500. You used to see those claim forms and you could read in the fine print. But even though it's electronic, that fine print still exists and still holds true today.
And, what I also know for sure, which I don't understand why it's like this, is excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
Every auditing company I worked for has had way more policy than any facility I've ever worked for. When I tell you way more. Like they got a policy for if you stub your toe, they got clinical criteria that's supposed to be met for you to code that.
So they know how to make sure that they are meeting, ticking in time the information to compare it to what. And so it's not personal. It's not against you I'm or you physician. This is our policy that we use across the board, period. But then I'm glad you mentioned that. With some of the auditing that occurs, y'all see this mess. And I appreciate that, you're the external client and you want to maintain that contract and all of the things. But your job is not to be warm, fuzzy, and nice. Your job is to help them fix their problems. Tell them what is wrong.
But if you tell them and they don't do anything about it, what can you?
Problem. That ain't your problem. Your problem is to tell them.
There you go.
Tell them what is wrong. But oftentimes you see, well, maybe we should just say, what the hell? No, they hired you to help them. Help them. Now, if they don't heed, and again, it's up to them to heed your advice. That's not your issue. Your issue is to tell them, this is what I see. This is what your documentation is showing me and suggesting. And this is the problems that can happen as a result of it. Clean it up. But people don't want to say, I want to be nice. I want to keep this contract. It can all be so simple if you tell folks what it is that they hired you to tell them. Again, Let them make the decision on how they move. Your job is to tell them and keep them informed and make sure you document it. I told them. So, yes, I was
Well,
the external auditor, but and in my report, it clearly states da 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 da.
well, I think I'm sure I told you this years ago. I worked for a pretty big audit company, and they had this contract, and the audits were horrible. Like, I mean, these people were, when I tell you, they had effed up the church's money. They weren't even in the process. It was already done. It was like really, really bad. So it got so bad that the client terminated the contract, but they had to. I had heard that my audit company made them sign before they terminated, sign an agreement to absolve them of any future legal responsibility because it was that bad.
Mm-hmm,
Like they were going to have to pay back money.
mm-hmm. And you can see it. If you're auditing them
Mhm.
cases, you can see it off the rip like, "Ooh, y'all got a bigger problem here." But the thing is, instead of being afraid of losing that contract or, you know, not helping them, if you present the information to them in the way it needs to be presented and you show them the facts of what it is that you've discovered and then offer solutions to assist them, you're building your business there. Because yeah, I'm showing you the, especially initial, if this is like your initial audit, yeah, I'm showing you what y'all doing, and it's a mess over here and y'all need to clean it up. Let me show you how you can clean this up, and then we can come back, and then you external auditor, because oftentimes they feel a kind of way about the folks that are internal to the organization auditing, but external, they oftentimes will listen a little clear. But then you can have them begin to show the data and weed out and find who your bad actors are, because you're monitoring them and auditing them on a regular cadence. Then again, organization, you got the information you need to go to whoever it is you need to go to and have a wonderful conversation with the assistance of somebody else. So if you're afraid to do it, let the folks you hire do it. It can all be so simple. I will
Mhm.
get off my soapbox now.
And but this is why companies pay for audits because they're supposed to get that. Like I had, um, I think I told you I had done an audit like in September and was for medication assisted treatment. And
Mhm,
I actually really I really liked it
mhm.
because I told you like I'm not really into hearing about how your dog died and how you can't recover. It's just, I mean, shout out to those who have lost pets, but that's
Yes.
just not my ministry.
Mhm,
So I really like this one because it's really more medical.
mhm,
It's like how is this person responding? What is going on, physiologically?
mhm.
So that was right up my. I loved it. So anyway, this organization, the person they had doing their charts was it was a template, and he was cutting it, copying and pasting. I don't think he had changed his notes since 1972. So, uh, so I was, I was telling them like, listen, you have higher levels of service than what you're billing for, but your documentation doesn't support it. So this is what you need to do.
Mhm,
And they, so I reached out just to do a follow up because first he was like, well, uh, other people have told him that he needs to do this, and I'm not a the owner was not a clinician. But I'm
okay.
like, but you don't have to be a clinician when people are telling you. Then it is your responsibility as the owner to do something about it. Because if you're losing money, I mean, there was a situation where the person was already on Suboxone, but they were using two other illicit drugs. And then reading the note, still a candidate for Suboxone treatment. How? And then and I said to the owner, I said, what? I said, so what's going to happen? This person is going to go home and OD, and then somebody might put a bug in their ear, and then you sit up in court because your doctor knew this person was using other substances and didn't like demand them to go to treatment, or didn't make them sign something, or do some kind of escalation other than refer to inpatient. What does that mean? What does that mean? Like, that's not going to get you. That's not going to save you when you're still giving a drug that could kill somebody if used incorrectly.
Yep.
It's a scheduled narcotic. It's federally regulated. And you out there doing all kinds of stuff along with that. We know. I mean, sooner or later, something's going to happen, and it's not going to be good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But we are at the top of the hour, and we still got a lot of questions. I think we got some solutions, but again, it's up to the folks to do what they're supposed to do. We all play a responsibility. Coders making sure, and CDI professionals making sure that you know your marching orders. Make sure you're marching to the tune of the drum.
And if you are a coder or a CDI and you are in these roles, make sure and you know you're not up to snuff. Get up to snuff.
Do what you're supposed to do. Take the time, take the training, get the classes, get the information. It's plenty of information out here. Get it so that you can be the best in the role that you're providing. Period. All right. Well, I'm Clarice Warner, the girl with the pearls, reminding you that we're stronger together in this coding community. So keep coding with integrity. Keep learning, like we just said, and keep supporting each other. And the Professional Reimbursement Network is here to support you every step of the way. So consider joining our community at the Professional Reimbursement Network. We provide, wait, let me get in here. There we go. We provide ongoing education, compliance updates, and practical strategies for navigating this complex environment of healthcare revenue cycle. You don't have to figure this out alone. So if you're thirsty for fresh perspectives on the healthcare revenue cycle, by becoming one of the PRN T-Sippers, you will join a community of sharp minds who savor the complexities of the healthcare revenue cycle. So why sip alone when you can steep in knowledge together? Come, let's spill the tea on industry insights. And here's what you can expect as a valued member of the T-Sippers: exclusive healthcare insights, gain access to in-depth articles, webinars, and resources covering the latest healthcare trends, compliance updates, and revenue cycle best practices. Early access, be the first to receive expert insights and guides, ensuring you stay ahead in the ever-evolving healthcare industry. Personalized support, enjoy direct access to our team of experts for guidance on medical coding, compliance issues, and revenue cycle management. We're here to answer your questions and support your professional growth. And my personal favorite, the community connection. Join a private community of healthcare professionals where you can network, share experiences, and collaborate on finding solutions to common challenges. So by supporting us, you're not only advancing your healthcare knowledge and career, but also contributing to the success of the Professional Reimbursement Network, LLC, a resource that empowers healthcare professionals like you to thrive in their roles, goals, and dreams. So by considering becoming a member of the PRN T-Sippers for just a little over $1 per month, you can join the community. Now, you don't get the same benefits. There are tiers to this. There are levels to this. But you can check out the link in the description of the video. And you can also get the QR code there. There we go. Check out the QR code on the screen as well. Your support means the world to us, and we look forward to helping you excel in the world of health information and healthcare revenue cycle. For our Saturday Morning Tea family, thank you for joining us. We know your time is precious, and we don't take it lightly that you chose to spend it here on a Saturday morning at the Saturday Morning Tea. You know, we're all about building a community of savvy, informed, marketable healthcare professionals. So remember to like, share, subscribe, and comment, and let's grow this community together. Mr. Jesse, do you have any closing thoughts?
Just keep learning.
We are a lifelong learning career and profession, and put that somewhere where you see that I need to be learning every day. Let that be
It
an
never
affirmation. I need to be
stops.
learning every day.
I know I do.
I do too. Every day, and been here for decades. I still learn something new every day.
Look, because the minute I think, look, I will open up a claim. Oh, okay. Well, I look at the coding. Oh, it looks easy. I could knock this out. And I'm here pulling out the hair I don't have. 20 minutes later, like, what is going on? Wait a minute. I gotta really think about this.
Right. Like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait 1 minute. Yeah, because and you can discern that. Again, that all is all about discernment. Like, wait a minute, am I missing something here? Something's not right. All right. So keep in mind, you already have everything you need, or should have everything you need, to lead with confidence and to know your stuff. But you might just need a little assistance along the way, and let us help you in that endeavor. So tune in next week as we'll be discussing another hot healthcare informational topic that you won't want to miss. This is Clarice Warner, the girl with the pearls, reminding you to stay educated and stay elevated, and that in healthcare, knowledge isn't just power, it's protection. Remember, be safe, be kind, and don't wish for it, work for it. Until next time. Yes,
When you wrap up, can you stay on?
I will. Until
Okay,
next
thank you.
time, take care. All right.